Hey guys, I want to go over here because I'm operating. I'm the designated arrow pusher for today, so I get this side. We are so happy to be here. We are Jen and Omar of These Are Things, and we're just super pumped to be back here in Cleveland again. We came last year, as Joseph said, and we had a great time, so we're happy to be speaking with you again today.
And I'm going to go off the script for a second and just say that I'm really nervous. I spent my entire life trying to avoid situations like this, like crowds, or talking in front of people. So if I dissolve into a pile of sweat or run off the stage, Jen knows all my lines, so just ignore it and we'll be fine. Anyways, we'd also like to thank Joseph and Jeff and everyone that put together such a great event, and for inviting us to talk up here. It's really an honor to be sharing the stage with all these great designers and talented people, and to be talking in front of so many other great designers and illustrators. And
cool opportunity for sure. So today we're here to share our story with you. Now, if we really wanted to impress you, okay, really prove that we belong up here alongside all of these incredible people, here's what we'd tell you. We started out as child prodigies, obviously.
We're responsible for one of the internet's greatest animated memes.
Of all time, I think we can safely say. And in 2010, we created a modern world map that became an overnight sensation, selling hundreds of prints in a matter of hours.
And over the past 3 years, really rode that success and continue to build on it.
Today, we've shipped over 10,000 pieces of art to happy customers in all 50 states and over 30 countries.
We illustrate for clients around the world, including a monthly spread in the travel magazine Afar.
Our business was featured as a case study in a New York Times best-selling book.
Our website delights hundreds of visitors per day and has won numerous awards.
There it goes.
There it goes. That's us.
Our maps even co-starred in an indie film with this guy. It's Jim from The Office. That is his only name as far as I'm concerned.
And like I said, we've ridden that success all the way from humble beginnings in Columbus, Ohio, to New York City, where we currently live and work in a beautiful Brooklyn studio with a view of the Manhattan skyline.
These are things, that's our talk. Hope you enjoyed. Really? I mean, impressive, yes? Okay, we've got a string of success. Yes, thank you. So successful. Now, we've built our careers on visualizing data of all kinds, so let's make a graph. If we were to plot out our story as we just told it to you, it would look something like this. All of the success, the fame, yeah? The fortune, the accolades, they've all led us right here to our greatest accomplishment, standing on this stage, speaking to all of you. Using our expert data analysis skills, clearly we can all see that we are on an upward trajectory, no end in sight.
But that's not the whole story. We've left out some pretty important points. The mistakes, the failures, the rejections, the hard times, the really, really hard times. And so let's take all these new points and plotting points and let's redraw our graph. It's a little different. So in reality, our trajectory isn't as cut and dry or straightforward as we just told you 5 minutes ago. So today we'd like to take you on this new journey through some of these highs and lows.
So let's try this again. Today, we're here to tell you our story, our full story. For us, that story begins 1.5 years after we graduated from art school. We were super lucky during a pretty shaky economic time to get great design jobs right out of school. And we both had the chance to work for some pretty cool clients.
And some not so cool clients. We've all been there, I know, it's true. And
this is an actual job. He spent months on this.
This is a screen capture. This is literally months. So, like many artists who find themselves in the professional world, we needed another outlet for our creativity.
Other than Medicare infomercials.
So whenever we weren't at work, we were doing our projects together. We tried everything from street art, these are some Omar Obey posters we put up in Columbus, to jewelry, to textile design.
And we really tried everything. And while these projects were fun, we still had this dream in the back of our minds that someday these side projects would be our real jobs, that these fun art projects that we did on the weekends would actually pay the bills. Now, unfortunately, at this point, we were not quite there yet. This is us at the end of a weekend-long craft fair. You can see I am completely over it because we made like maybe 20 bucks the whole weekend. I was done. The sign says, "Do not trust this woman." Maybe
I made all
that.
the signs.
Yeah, fire sale, free art.
But that all really changed for us in February of 2010. One of our many side projects was to create this silkscreen world map. We had been doing a lot of traveling together in our free time, and we wanted a pretty map to hang up in our apartment to kind of track those travels. So once the design was finished, we had a small edition printed by a screen printer in Portland. Since we only needed one map for ourselves, for our apartment, we ordered the minimum quantity, which was 50. They gave us some extra ones. That was 55. Nice. And with the extra maps sitting in our apartment, we decided, why not try and sell them? On a Sunday night, before we went back to work for the week, we made a one-page website with a PayPal button and sent a few emails to our favorite design bloggers. We honestly weren't expecting much, really not expecting anything. It was just another one of our many projects we worked on. The next morning, though, we woke up with our first order from a creative director in South Africa, of all places. And before the day was over, we had sold over 350 more and counting. We were blown away. Maybe this project wasn't like the others after all.
And now you may remember that we only got 50 prints made, and we sold 350.
And more every.
And more every minute. I mean, they were coming in faster than we could read the emails. So we quickly found ourselves in way over our heads. Not only did we not have enough prints, but PayPal was a little concerned that a brand new account had brought in so much cash so quickly, especially on a pre-sale item. So they froze our account and said they would not release a dime of the money until we shipped out every last order. Here's the tricky part. That money that they were holding on to was the money that we needed to print those orders. What to do? So we had to figure things out, and fast. We spent all of our savings, I mean all of it, and every single minute of our free time figuring out how to run this business that we had just accidentally started.
And that learning process for us, no lie, took a full year. It took months for us to get those first orders out, and it wasn't until like May when we finally got some money coming in. And by March of 2011, we finally had somewhat of a handle, as much as you can, on our business, and even quit our day jobs to run it. It was the dream. We moved into a new apartment together and built a home studio. And when the business even started growing faster and outgrew our apartment, we hired a warehouse to store, pack, and ship all of our stuff, really legit. And during this time, we're making tons of new products that were honestly getting as much attention as our first map. It was amazing. And we were feeling like on top of the world, really confident. So we decided to challenge ourselves to create a series of prints that went together instead of just like one off here, one off there. So we worked on a collection. And this collection was our most ambitious project to date. It was designing a series of 6 European city maps. We spent a long time thinking about it, designing it, and we even planned a big launch to go along with it. We even made a little like video to announce the new prints. It should play right now. Fun. My motion graphics people will laugh at me for my bad tracking, but it was fun. It was a fun project. And we worked with a popular blog called Design Sponge to launch the prints with a giveaway. And that giveaway got over 350 entries. We had to read every single last one of them to pick the winner, but we were super excited. People were excited about our product. and it looks like we had another success on our hands.
I just realized this. I think 350 was our lucky number that year. Because initial sales and then this. So it was a successful launch, except for one thing. They didn't sell. The giveaway, it came and went. The video was shared. We got great feedback about the work, tons of press, but they just didn't sell. People weren't buying them. We were completely confused at this point. I mean, our first launch was as unplanned as could be, and it went better than we could have imagined. This time we actually sat down and planned, and it totally flopped. We had no clue what to do. Meanwhile, in the excitement of our initial success, we hadn't really thought about this stuff, which is taxes, pretty important for the self-employed and employed alike, I suppose. So when the 5-figure bill landed on our doorstep that April, we suddenly found ourselves with even less money than we had in the first place. As a last-ditch effort, we figured, hey, we're going to apply to this small local craft show. We had done it in years past, and we thought, you know, at least we'll be able to sell off some of our extra inventory and won't have to sit here with product that isn't selling. We didn't get in. We looked at each other and started to think, you know, maybe this is it for us. It was fun while it lasted. We had a great run. Maybe our old jobs will take us back.
And really, right as the money was about to run out, we reached out to a little site called fab.com. They had been doing timed sales of designing merchandise for about 6 months now, and were starting to get really popular, like 1 million subscribers popular. They agreed to work with us and run a sale with our product. 3 days later, we had sold nearly 2,000 units. Just like that, we were back in business. On top of that, 2 weeks later, we received a call from the Land of Nod, which is Crate & Barrel's kids line, and they made a huge opening wholesale order and started carrying a bunch of their prints in their online shop. With this very well-timed cash infusion, we were able to grow and expand like never before. We made dozens of new prints, and they actually sold this time. And we took some of that money and upgraded to an amazing new apartment in downtown Columbus. And 6 months after that, our business was profiled in the $100 Startup, which is a book about how to run a business. And that became a New York Times bestseller. We were really on a roll. Everything in our business was going great and better, really, than we could ever imagine for ourselves.
Even though our professional lives were better than ever, 2012 was a hard year for us personally. If you've been following us online, or even if you know us in real life, you probably don't know this, because until today, we have not shared it with anyone. The truth is that I spent most of 2012 dealing with a personal issue from my past. I'm not yet able to speak about the details, but I can tell you that it was very, very hard, and not just on me, but on Omar as well. Most days, it was a struggle just to get out of bed in the morning. And my anxiety over the entire situation made it hard for me to even leave our apartment. I was using all of my energy to work through this very tough emotional situation. So when it came time to sit down and design something, sometimes there just wasn't anything left. Fortunately, I'm very lucky to have Omar and a very supportive family. And as the year went on, we tried to focus on our work as much as we could. It actually helped to kind of take our minds off of all the things that we couldn't control.
And really, thanks to our warehouse we mentioned earlier, the shop side of our business was essentially on autopilot. The orders would come in, and our warehouse would ship them out. We don't really need to do anything on that end. So we were able to really take that time and focus on the freelance side of our business, which really picked up in 2012. We started doing editorial illustrations for a bunch of great magazines like Afar and Spirit, which is Southwest's in-flight magazine. And these projects were a lot of fun and really pushed us to do things that we weren't really comfortable doing at the time. We were doing lots of maps for ourselves, but now we had to do like pigs and coins.
These were like puzzles for us. Yeah. I mean, there's something about client work that really pushes us to do things that we wouldn't normally do. And
we get like a spreadsheet and then say, make it into a 2-page spread.
So this was fun. We loved these projects.
And by the end of the year, we had signed contracts with some really huge clients, including Cleveland's own American Greetings.
Yay, we love you guys. Our business was great, but as the year came to a close, we were still feeling some of the effects of my personal situation, which made it very hard for us to be in Columbus. It was the perfect time to get a change of scenery and fulfill a lifelong dream at the same time. We decided to move to New York. Our inventory and production would continue to kind of hum along back in Ohio, just an email or a quick phone call away, and our freelance contracts would more than pay for our year in the city.
So we got on an overnight Chinatown bus, the only way to travel, headed out to Brooklyn, signed a lease on an apartment, and it was a little out of our budget, it was more than we wanted to spend, but we were really determined to make it work. So in January, we packed up all our stuff, our brand new apartment, packed it all up, and headed out east. We set up shop in a beautiful little studio apartment in Williamsburg, very little, 300 square feet little, but it did the job.
And as soon as we got there, we knew immediately that we had made the right decision. And it was freezing cold when we landed. It was the beginning of January, blizzards like every other day, I feel like. So we put on our extra large earmuffs and heavy coats and just started exploring the city, and it felt great. The change of scenery was exactly what we needed, and we were feeling more inspired than we had been in months.
But not too long after we got settled in, the freelance project that seemed so promising started to fall apart. Budgets were slashed, concepts were rejected, and projects were put on hold indefinitely or just killed. This was not good. We were relying on those contracts and invoices on those contracts to pay for a new, much more expensive life in New York. And for the record, American Greetings paid us actually early, so they're great. Cleveland's awesome.
+1 for Cleveland, thank you.
Yeah. So after a few months of all these freelance fiascos and nightmares, we decided to shift gears and get back to doing what we love to do the most, and what got us into this situation in the first place was creating for ourselves.
And that's exactly what we did. We holed up, it was still cold at this point, and we spent 2 months designing a collection of greeting cards, which was something that we had wanted to do for a while. We had a great time working on these. We had total creative freedom. All of the cards kind of had a travel theme to kind of play off of the line of maps that we had designed previously. And we were so happy with how these turned out. We were so confident in our designs that we decided to do something else that we had been thinking about for years, exhibiting at the National Stationery Show.
Now, the National Stationery Show, for those who don't know, it's a huge trade show for paper goods. It's where retailers go to find new lines to carry in their brick and mortar stores, all the way from small boutiques to big national chains like Target and Anthropologie. I think we talked about Anthropologie earlier. And this is a chance for us to sell a lot of product at one time. Our goal was to get more large wholesale accounts like that Land of Nod account that really helped us out last year. Now, even in our fancy New York apartment, we were still pretty DIY. You want to explain this?
Yeah, this is me. I'm standing on a stool at our little kitchen table taking the photos that you saw earlier. They went into our wholesale catalog. And this is my feline assistant. He's always all over everything. This is Will Smith, the cat.
But even with this DIY style similar to this fest, we spent a lot of money to make it look like we had been exhibiting for years. We spared no expense as we got ready for this show. We knew the stakes were high, but we were really confident about our product. We had just a little over a month to prepare, which is definitely not enough time. But we managed to get it all done. We got our wholesale catalog printed with 1 day to spare, and we designed an entire booth and set up shop in the Javits Convention Center, where we spent a week showing our products to retailers from around the world. The show was exhausting. I don't think me and Jen have ever been more tired in our entire lives. Like the last day, I was lying down, I could not stand up.
In the booth.
I was done. But the response was great. Our line was getting attention from national buyers, and our design work was piquing the interest of some pretty big companies. By the end of the week, we had signed orders with a dozen smaller boutiques across the country, and it started serious conversations with a number of very promising leads.
We left the show just feeling so confident about the possibilities. To us, it felt like all of our hard work, and not just the whirlwind of months leading up to the show, but the entire 3.5 years that brought us to this point, we felt like it was all about to pay off. So we packed up the booth, headed back to our studio, and waited for the big orders to roll in. You guys are good graph readers, right? By now, I think you probably know what's coming next. We, on the other hand, had no idea. Those big orders we were waiting for, they never came. But what did come is rejection after rejection after rejection. Opportunities that seemed like sure things just a few days ago were falling flat quicker than we could even reply.
And piled on top of the rejection letters were the bills. We spent a ton of money to do this trade show, more than we ever invested in anything else for our business. We were certain, we were so confident that we'd see an immediate return on investment, or at least break even. But 2 months after the show, that just wasn't happening. Meanwhile, the costs of running a business from 500 miles away were piling up. The business we thought was running smoothly on autopilot back home in Ohio was actually careening off course without us there to manage it. And don't get me started on the cost of living in New York. We knew it'd be expensive, everyone told us it'd be expensive, but we had no idea how expensive it is to live there.
It's different when you're actually the one paying for it. It changes it from a number.
My milk is $8. I have special milk, but still. So it was very expensive, and the cost of running a business at the same time from so far away was just really piling up. So no matter how many times we ran the numbers, no matter how many times we went to QuickBooks, no matter how many times we tried to recalculate, it was just a bad equation. Our business, funny enough, was bringing in more money and more sales than ever before, but even with our best financial year, we still couldn't keep up with all these extra expenses.
So last month, we sat down and we made an extremely difficult decision. In 2 weeks, we are breaking our lease, packing up our beautiful, beautiful New York apartment.
We just got settled.
We just got settled in. Just got settled in. And we're moving into my parents' basement.
It all settled in. Making this decision meant that our dream of living in New York was over after just 8 months. We were never planning on staying there forever. It's just that we were so confident about our ability to make it work. And we thought we would come home like conquering heroes.
We did it.
But we ended up failing so hard and so quickly.
We were in shock. I mean, just in shock. We did not see this coming at all. In the last couple of weeks, we've gone through all the stages of grief, usually more than one in a day. First, we denied that it was happening altogether. We put off making this decision until the last possible moment. Then we got angry. We got angry at our clients for not paying us. We were angry at ourselves for taking such huge, huge risks. We were angry at New York for being so expensive. And we were even angry at anthropology for not buying 12,000 of our beautiful cards. We bargained with ourselves trying to find a way that we could stay a week longer or a month longer.
If we could stay 9 months, that's close enough to a year.
Then we can round up. We were in New York for a year, and that sounds good, right? But most of all, we were afraid. Afraid that we had made decisions that may jeopardize the business that we had spent 3.5 years building. And we were afraid of what people would think of us. Now, this was only 2 weeks ago that we made this decision, so this is all still very fresh. And now here we are. It's kind of surreal. We're standing on this stage in front of a couple hundred complete strangers, telling this story to all of you. To be honest, we have been dreading giving this talk, completely dreading it. I think we've replayed this moment in our minds like 100 times. When we agreed to do it, there are fewer people in our dreams, I think. Now they're packed in there. When Joseph asked us to give this talk, it was a year ago, and we were on top of the world. I remember standing outside of the auditorium down the street, and we were like energized and doing great. Now, to be honest, not so much. Not so much. So the big question is why? Why get up on stage and share our biggest, most embarrassing failure? When I ran the idea of this talk past my brother, here's what he had to say. If you can't see it, it says, "What? No offense, but that sounds stupid." This is a real conversation. This was not a reenactment. The thing I love most about my brother is that he's very honest. Very honest. And you know, maybe he's right. Maybe this is stupid. Certainly would have been easier to just stick to the highlights reel and conveniently gloss over all of this other stuff. But we couldn't get up here and tell you some whitewashed version of the truth. That's not reality. That's not our whole story.
The truth is, the highlights reel is never the whole story. When you only see the highlights of someone's life, whether it's their amazing portfolio or their Twitter feed or even a talk at a design conference, it's all too easy to connect the dots yourself and assume that everyone who's successful spends their entire life enjoying nothing but success after success after success. The reason we've chosen to share a full story with you, the highs and the lows, is to show you that every success is built from a series of failures, mistakes, and rejections. Down here, this is where the magic happens. This is where we learn our biggest lessons. The things we learn and the struggles and hardships we face down here are what help propel us to new, even greater heights. And while these parts are very hard to talk about, especially in front of a lot of people, our story and yours would be incomplete without them.
It's easy to think of yourself as being defined by one of these specific points on your graph, whether it be your worst failure or your greatest success. But we're not just points on a graph. We're the line. We're the journey, the whole journey, the total of all those experiences, the twists and the turns, the ups and the downs. So we say, bring it on. Bring on the next failure. Bring on the next mistake, because we know there will be one. And if you don't mind, bring on the next success, maybe like soon, I don't know. But no matter what happens next, we know that we will continue to share our story with the world, our full story.
So, what is next for us? Even though we've faced some tough challenges this year, things are actually looking up. In fact, not even kidding, just last night, we heard back from possibly one of our biggest stationery show leads. A national department store rhymes with Boardstrums. Don't let anyone know. And it looks like we'll be working together this holiday. Really, we're just excited to be back home with family and friends. My parents are up here in the front.
Hi.
And these are the people who have, supported us every step of the way. We're excited to be back in Ohio and to get back to work, really. It's been kind of like a long vacation, really. And start a new chapter of our lives and our business. And even though we honestly have no clue what the future will bring, we're looking forward to whatever comes next.
If we were to graph our vision for the future, we're hoping it looks a little something like this, of course. Above all else, we hope that wherever you are at this very moment, whether you're somewhere up there in the stratosphere or whether you're down here with us, we hope that you remember to appreciate every point on your graph. Stop worrying so much about where you are at this very moment and just enjoy the ride. Thanks, guys.